Okay, I want to do this video for the NASCAR fans. Exit 284 off of 80 West. Blake's Lee. It's called Blake's Lee. Exit 284 is where you go to get to the Pocono Raceway. So it took me pretty much about 3 hours, maybe like 3 hours and 15 minutes, leaving super early from Connecticut to get over here. So it's 81, 476, all that. 115, Route 115, exit 284 at mile marker 284 on Route 80 West. Okay. And I gotta think this is 284, going down 284, because we just got into Pennsylvania. So it's gotta be, so that's 283 right there. Yeah, so it must be that the Route 80 is about 300 miles long in Pennsylvania. Didn't really know that. But anyway, that's the exit for anybody who wants to go to the Pocono Raceway. I believe there's still 2 NASCAR weekends there. I know that in the past, the first one was in June, and then I'm not sure, I think the second one was like in September. I can't remember that. But I know the Pocono Raceway is like a hangar. It's shaped like a hangar. And I know it's very cool. I've been there twice for races for NASCAR. When a long time ago, in the 90s, I went with my dad. I was working as a media buyer. I was a television national broadcast supervisor, and I was spending about $40 million a year. For my big client was Just for Men hair coloring, which had a secondary brand called Just for Men MBS, like mustache, beards, and sideburns. And that particular brand, mustache, beard, and sideburns, and Just for Men, and what we had called Grecian at the time. Now it has a different name, the Gradual Coloring. Same company still owns all that. Combe, C-O-M-B-E, Combe, based in White Plains, New York. Anyway, but I got them. I had come from McCann Erickson, the big agency in New York City. It was like number 4 or 5 in the world at the time, and I had been working on AT&T Sports as a media buyer for them back in the 90s, and then I had other clients like Menin and US Air and Alaska Tourism and Martini and Rossi, Ossi Spumante. But Alaska Tourism was my big client, along with Martini and Rossi personally, and I worked on US Air as a buyer, but AT&T Sports was the big one, and I learned a lot from Bill Sherman, who was my boss, and even my other boss, a guy named Jim Burnett, and then Ted Paskowitz. They were all my bosses, and Madalena Conti, she was cool. But anyway, worked at McCann Erickson, and I learned a lot about media buying, and so then I ended up. Sorry, I thought there was a cop or something up here. There isn't. But I just wanted to say that NASCAR, when I got over to Combe Inc. in 1994, I became a buyer there. I was working for the 2 ladies that were working there since the 70s. This is like 1994 I got there. They were there for about 20 years already, and they ran everything. Gail Perlow was very cool as general manager, and a woman named Patty Macera was my immediate boss. And when I got there, they said, "Oh yeah, don't worry, we're never going to be doing the cool, fancy sports stuff that you worked on in AT&T Sports. We're never going to do Monday Night Football. We're never going to do the NCAAs. We're never going to do Pebble Beach. All that kind of high-profile stuff that AT&T Sports did. We're never going to do that stuff. So don't worry." Now they really didn't mention NASCAR, and honestly, my exposure to NASCAR at that time was the Nashville network was called TNN. The Nashville network had like most of the races in those days, and they had this incredible presentation on that. And I had seen their presentation several times, and it blew me away. But for Menin, we were looking at NASCAR, so I knew all about it. That's how I first learned about Nirvana. Really was when I worked on the Menin account. It was strictly for older men deodorant, right? Menin. And then It was before everybody did all these product extensions and everything. And then it was the early days of that, and they came up with their product extension. They were the first ones that said, hey, let's make a deodorant for the teen market, because those 5th graders, 6th graders, boy, they really need deodorant, right? All the parents know that, all the teachers all talk about it. So Menon in the mid-90s, or like 1992 or 1993, came out with Teen Spirit. Hello, Teen Spirit. And then Nirvana, that inspired the Teen Spirit Nirvana song, the big hit. So it's pretty cool that I worked on the account that inspired the Teen Spirit Nirvana song, because we saw that in the press about Nirvana doing the song Teen Spirit was becoming a big hit. So Wawa is a big, 24-hour like mini mart chain in Pennsylvania. Wawa, W-A-W-A, and there's some really funny videos back in about 10, 15 years ago that were done that online that were really making fun of very funny lacrosse stuff. Anyway, look, but people, traveling and for lacrosse tournaments and going to Wawa, and I'm sure that's still the same with parents. Any parents out here that are still traveling for sports with their kids and stop at Wawa's in Pennsylvania and New Jersey Turnpike and Philadelphia area and all that area in the Mid-Atlantic, let me know. Make some comments, because there's some funny stories about Wawa's. Anyway, so there's a funny story. I won't say it's a personal story about Wawa, but sometime, if you guys subscribe to my channel, you can ask me about it. Maybe I'll do a video someday about my personal connection to Wawa, but you could remind me. But anyway, just sitting here with the truck. So we just went by a cop. There was a pretty well hidden state police in the shadows. I just always go by my rabbits. I always have rabbits out front. So rabbits, you guys don't know what a rabbit is. A rabbit is the guy that you get out in front of you on the highway when you're traveling across the country and you're doing these, cross-country trip. And you really want to make time, so you want to cruise at a pretty good speed, average, because then you're just going to cut your trip by a lot. If you, going 80 for a few miles isn't going to make much difference, but if you can go 80 for, 200 miles, then it's going to shorten your trip, right? But now at the price of gas, thanks to King Trump and his idiocy, the price of gas is now like $5 a gallon for almost regular gas. That was like $6, $7, $8 a gallon for diesel. So we're all going to be paying way more for food and everything at the stores, because everything gets transported by truck. Anyway, thank you, Trump, you fool. It was much better when we had Biden as a president, because he listened to people. He listened to the intelligence experts. He listened when they said, don't do this, because if you do, it's going to do this. Trump just does whatever he wants because he thinks he's some fucking gift from God, motherfucker. I hate him, okay? I hate him. I'm a New Yorker. I know all about him. He could not be elected dog catcher in New York State or New York City, okay? Maybe upstate New York he could. New York City hates him. Hates him. How many people have you ever heard that are, went bankrupt running casinos? I've never heard of it before except for Trump. He got $400 million from his father, and all he would have had to do is sit on that money, sit on that real estate, and just invest his money, and he would have made billions just from that. He didn't need to do all this crap that he did, going bankrupt and then laundering all that money for the Russians through his real estate and all the bullshit he's done. He never had to do all that, but he did all that. And if you don't know they did all that, then you don't know what's going on. Okay, you're not paying attention, and you don't know facts. F-A-C-T-S, facts, okay? Anyway, I don't care about Trump. I just can't wait for him to stop being president because he's terrible. He's a terrible, terrible, terrible human being. And he's a terrible example for the children. He's horrible, horrible. So whenever he's out of office, it'll be a great day. Whenever that time comes, if we survive it. We may not survive it. The world may not survive it. Our country may not survive it. But we'll see. Hopefully we're strong enough to survive it. After 250 years, I would hope that we are strong enough, but people really have to educate themselves better on what reality is and not get so worried and not be so vulnerable to a charlatan like this who just used fear. He studied Hitler. It's no accident that he used fear of a scapegoat, of the brown man, fear of the immigrant, fear of the brown man and the black man, fear of the immigrant and their different strange ways. That's exactly what the brown shirts did in Nazi Germany to vilify the Jewish people. That's exactly what they did. And it's exactly what Trump has done with the immigrants. You know, his wife is an immigrant. His great grandfather or grandfather wasn't even born in the U.S. So Trump himself is only second generation or something in the United States. And then he married, all his wives were immigrants except for one. So he's really insane that he even does all this crap against immigrants, because his entire family are all pretty recent immigrants. Okay? Like, my family's been here since the 1600s on both sides. And, you know, do you think I want this craziness? I don't want this. I know that immigrants built our country. And to this day, who do you think's going to pay all those Social Security taxes that you need to survive on? Your family and your baby boomer family and older siblings and family and parents need to survive it on. You need to survive it in the future. It's immigrants that are going to pay that for you, because they're the hardest working people coming to this country, this great United States of America. That's a 250-year experiment in democracy. And yeah, it's still an experiment, and it still can fail. After 250 years, it may be failing. We may have hit the place where because the founding fathers could never envision someone so selfish as Trump, someone so, narcissistic, terrible, horrible human as Trump. They could never envision it, because they lived at a time when the philosophers, they lived at a time during the Enlightenment when Rousseau and Voltaire and all these philosophers were writing and everything, and they learned from them. And Jefferson even was one of those Enlightenment people, and Benjamin Franklin, and all of them. And then you had Lafayette, and Lafayette came and was with Washington and was our biggest, lobbyist with King Louis XVI of France, for the French to help us beat the English in the Revolution. Without the French Army and Navy coming to help us at the very end in Yorktown and bottling up that British Navy and everything and Army, we would never have won the Revolution. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to the French people. And because, that French king lost his head, really, because in the French Revolution, just a few years after our revolution ended successfully, the French Revolution in 1789, that's how King Louis XVI lost his head. And all the royalists in France lost their heads because of the success of the American Revolution. The people in France saw what happened. They weren't stupid, and they are actually educated themselves and realized that they too needed to throw off the yoke of the royal aristocracy and have a freedom and a republic. And so our ties to France aren't just from saving them in World War II, for those idiots out there that think that, and think that the French owe us all this. We owe the French everything. We owe the French people and the French country everything, because without them, we wouldn't have a country, period. So I just see the sign of getting into the Chesapeake watershed here on Route 80 going west, leaving the Poconos pretty soon, and going across the middle of Pennsylvania, getting to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and to the area that they call the Happy Valley around Penn State, because apparently when there's a Penn State football game, home game, you cannot get any kind of Airbnb, hotel, motel, anywhere around there for 100 miles. And I experienced that once in November, driving it back across the U.S., and we actually stopped in Hazleton, and we could not really find anywhere. We had to stay in a terrible, a Red Roof Inn, which was very bad, because that's where all the homeless people in this area live, and we had to stay in there. It was kind of rough. Anyway, I'm going to sign off now. I hope you guys enjoyed the channel. Please subscribe. I'm sorry if I got political there for a minute, but listen, I'm a military historian. My name is Damon, 62 years old. Please subscribe to my channel. I started doing this about 2 years ago. My channel is all about travel, history, facts, F-A-C-T-S, facts, and the political situation. If you want to tune into it, I don't talk about politics too much, but I am definitely no red. I am a blue and an independent and a blue. So that's it right now. I missed the Biden presidency because we had 4 years of just quiet peace. We had a president who, yes, he was elderly and old, but you know what? He meant well, and he tried to help the average American person. He always tried to help the average American. No Republican. I challenge any Republican who's watching this, probably no one's watching this who's Republican anyway. But I challenge any Republican out there who's watching this, who sees this video, to please, I challenge any Republican to tell me one law that was passed by Congress in the last 50 years that has helped the average American person. I challenge you to tell me one law that has not benefited the ultra wealthy and rich, but has helped every American. Tell me one. I challenge you. You know why? You won't find any, because there aren't any. Because Republicans only work for the rich. They only work for the top, like, really, like 3%, 5%, and that's it. They don't work for all those poor Republican voters, rural voters that vote for them. They never have, they never will, and they just con those people over and over and over again into thinking that they're going to help them. They don't ever help you. They don't help the poor. They don't help farmers. They don't help the average Americans. Look back at the last 100 years of American government. It's only the Democrats that actually do things and pass laws that help the average American person, like the 95% of America. It's only the Republicans that help do things for the rich and for the ultra wealthy and the corporations. Okay, now I'm going to go now. Okay, hope you subscribe, because this channel, I'm trying to build it right now, and on April 10th, 2026, I've got about 260 something people, and I'm trying to get to 500. Please subscribe. Thank you very much, everybody. Please subscribe. I won't disappoint you with my content, my travel content in the U.S. right now, but soon to be in Europe, and in the U.S. through the 250th anniversary of our revolution. And then I'll be heading over to Europe probably for different things, and I'll be including trips to Europe and England, France. But please tune in and please subscribe. And I talk about history and travel history, and of course how to build online income, how to build income online. As a 62-year-old person, anyone who's in their 50s, you need to start learning this. Maybe even your 40s and 30s with AI, taking all the jobs. AI, and according to Elon Musk, within 10 years will take mostly all the jobs. Okay, hey, guys, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.